In the last episode of the Ajax Career Mode, we continued the club's tradition of signing Danish players, transferring in Nelson from Copenhagen. We lifted the first trophy of the Career Mode, winning the Eredivisie title on the second to final match day. Despite exceeding expectations in the Champions League, we suffered heartbreak, losing in the semi-finals to FC Bayern. So what's going on, everyone? Flick here. Welcome back to another episode of our FIFA 21 Ajax Career Mode. This is episode 3 and the start of season 2. I'm particularly excited to record this video given how well we performed last season, exceeding expectations in the Champions League. And now as we enter a new season, we'll be looking to develop some new storylines and some new heroes for the club. I'm glad to hear that a lot of you are enjoying the career mode so far. I feel like we found a niche here in realistic career modes, but also providing some educational content about some different stories that I think need to be told in the footballing world. Hopefully we can keep this kind of discourse going. I'm enjoying doing research for these career modes, and you all teach me so much in the comments section because I know a lot of you are Ajax supporters and you know a lot about the club. And of course, I'm always trying to improve these episodes. I think these press conferences are a great way to have your comment feature, but I'm also going to sprinkle in a couple of comments throughout the episode if I see any that are relevant. So stay tuned for that. If you want to help support the series and the channel, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing so you can stay up to date on all the newest Ajax episodes. We do have a new set of board expectations for season 2, still the same youth development one because we are working on that long-term objective. I'm not sure we'll be able to fulfill that. I still want the youth academy to be a big focus for this career mode, but in order to maintain results, I just don't feel like we're going to be able to feature 3 players from the youth academy in 30% of matches. For brand exposure, we need to get 10 games without defeat in home matches this season, as well as signing 1 crucial first team player assigned to the defender position. Financially, the board want us to sign a couple more crucial first team players and also generate a profit of 100 million. And then domestically, similar to last season, we have the objective of winning the league title as well as the League Cup. There is a change though for the continental success. You might remember last season we had the objective to, I think it was, reach the knockout stages within that season, and then within 3 seasons reach the quarterfinal. Now all of a sudden the board wants us to reach the semifinal in back-to-back years. With the new season will come some new changes to our starting 11. Something that stood out to me last year was the number of times we got caught on the counterattack. Our defenders are just not quick enough. Blind with 55 pace, Shores with 69 pace. So what I'm going to do to remedy that is swap Blind and Martinez. They're pretty similar in their rating these days, and they are extremely similar in terms of their statistics. They have the same primary and secondary positions. They're both left-footed, and the work rates are kind of opposite, but I think Martinez is ready. He's featured in a couple of matches in season 1 as a center back, so I think he is ready for the call-up to be our first choice defender alongside Shores. I do have a plan though for Blind. If you take a look at his statistics, he's very technically sound, and I think we could play him as a center defensive midfielder. That does mean that we'll have to take Gravenberch out of the starting 11. His overall is not quite as high as the rest of the players around him, but of course he does have a lot of potential. My thought process is that we'll still feature Gravenberch throughout this second season. Hopefully he can go up a couple more in his rating, and when season 3 rolls around, maybe then we can transition him back into the starting 11. Another change is that we will look to stick Cowpers on a development plan. I think his stats are more suited towards a center attacking mid-roll, and that kind of fits this formation and the Ajax tactics that we'll be using. Probably the biggest shakeup of season 2 though is that we will be putting a few players on the transfer list and reviewing offers for both Onana and Tagliafico. In my opinion, these are the 2 Ajax players that are most likely to leave, at least within the next few seasons. They were a big reason why we were able to reach the semi-final of the Champions League last year, and based off of their performances and now their increased rating, I think they are going to attract interest from other clubs in Europe. Obviously, it's difficult to let players of these caliber leave, but I think it will help keep this career mode realistic, and it will also present new opportunities for up-and-coming players to grow into this Ajax squad. Even prior to any departures, we have a sizable transfer budget to work with, roughly 60 million, and I expect that number to go up throughout the course of this summer transfer window. And as expected, Onana was the first player to generate interest from other clubs. A transfer offer of 113.5 million received from Chelsea, and that was actually below the value that our assistant manager gave us, but I feel like this is still a sizable amount. I could have negotiated this higher up potentially, but 113 million, I don't even know what to do with that amount. We did go on to accept that transfer fee straight up, and that will mean 100 million is added to our transfer budget. I'm wishing Onana the best, and this ended up being a fairly realistic signing. I believe there were rumors that Onana was set to leave for Chelsea for a period of time. And then, of course, they went and brought in a different goalkeeper in Mendy. Not quite the same transfer fee for Tagliafico, an offer of 46 million from Real Madrid. But again, I think this is a fairly realistic signing with Tagliafico being from Argentina and being able to speak Spanish. I think a move to La Liga would be fairly realistic. We ended up negotiating this transfer fee a little bit higher, bringing it up to 55 million. So with these two player departures factored in, along with the transfer budget that we had to start off with, I think that puts us around 200 million to spend. We don't necessarily need to spend all of that within this transfer window. Funds do carry over from season to season, and generally speaking, I think we've set ourselves up for success moving forward in this career mode. But of course, we do need to fill the void that these departures left. I first started to look at different goalkeeper options. Jasper Cillessen did come to mind. He played for Ajax about 5 seasons ago, then moved to Barcelona. Now he's over at Valencia, and he's no longer the first choice option there. One thing that put me off though about him is that he's already 32 years old, 81 overall. You can't expect his potential to go much higher, even if he does perform fairly well for us. So instead, I looked to sign Vlaco Dimos from Benfica. High potential goalkeepers with a decent overall outside of the top 5 leagues are fairly difficult to find, and this was one of the last remaining players that have not been snatched up by one of the larger clubs in Europe. With the background playing in Germany, Greece, and now Portugal, I like this signing, and considering that his overall has stayed the same since the start of this career mode, I don't feel like clubs were willing to meet his release clause of 60 million, and as a result, we were able to pick him up on a slightly discounted amount compared to his release clause at 40 million. I do still feel like this was a good deal for both parties, and we agreed to terms on a 13 grand a week contract, crucial first team player for 3 years. With the goalkeeper signed, we can now turn our attention to the left back position, and Nico Schultz was my primary transfer target. He's no longer the #1 man at left back for Dortmund. I would say Guerrero has taken over that role, but this player generated a lot of interest going into Dortmund. I mean, he's played for the likes of Hoffenheim, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Hertha Berlin, a bit of a veteran in the Bundesliga. And I think more and more recently, you'll see a lot of players from the Bundesliga, especially German players, making the move to the Eredivisie. Philipp Max as well as Timo Baumgartel come to mind. We completed this transfer for 20 million on a 35 grand a week deal. Schultz accepted a 2-year contract as an important first team player. Looking back, I probably should have specified a crucial first team role in order to help us meet that board objective, but you know, it is what it is. In order to help with squad depth at the left back position, we will be making another signing here with Bernabei. He is a 73 rated left back from Argentina. Kind of fits a similar background to what Tagliafico had prior to joining Ajax. And considering the number of competitions we're involved in this season, I think there's a good possibility that Bernabei will feature in a decent amount of matches. Anyways, the transfer fee was agreed upon at 8 million. Contract-wise, Bernabei will be receiving 7.6 grand a week on a 5-year deal as a rotational player. I was also very much on the lookout for Zlatan's regen. He joined Ajax from Malmo and played there for about 3 seasons. And we actually were able to find his regen in the Serie A, but unfortunately his overall just isn't very good. If you're new to the process of finding regens, essentially this is going to be a player that has the same position as well as the same nationality and potential as the player that retired, but the overall is kind of random based on how they get imported into the game. Maybe later on this is someone that we can consider signing in a future season, but for now I'm going to hold off on signing Zlatan's regen. Recapping some of the transfers that went down in the summer, Onana was actually the most expensive transfer of the summer transfer window, with a fee of 113.5 million, about 3 million more than Depay. Of course, we also had that Tagliafico transfer happen to Real Madrid, and Majan going to Lille for 4.6 million. Outside of that, the rest of these transfers are all going to be either short-term or season-long loan deals. We did have a ton of players actually return from loan, and some of them did get sent back out. The rest of them will feature in the occasional match for us, whether that be in the league or the Champions League. And as far as Garcia goes, he was the Youth Academy player that we promoted in Season 1. Unfortunately, though, I just don't see him getting much playtime. I originally planned on incorporating 1 Youth Academy player each season, but I think I was a bit too ambitious with that target. So I think moving forward, if we continue to find Youth Academy players that have a high enough overall and can compete at a good level with the rest of the players, whether that be in the Eredivisie or continentally, then we will feature them. And as we look towards the future, we do have 3 experienced scouts to disperse. I checked over the comments from the last episode, and I think we found 3 good countries to set up a network in. As per usual, we will be scouting out the Netherlands for 6 months, looking for any type of player. This is our permanent scout. I also like the idea of finding a center back from Belgium, the likes of Vertonghen and Alderweireld, coming from Ajax in the past, so I think a physically strong player type should bring back a good result. And I also want to show some appreciation for the detail that went into this comment, providing some more background on Moroccan players in the Ajax system. So we will be setting up a network in Morocco for 6 months, looking for a playmaker. A few more squad updates. Some of you may have noticed that Nelson did have the number 14 when he featured in matches last season. That's because when we signed him, he was automatically given that number by the game. It's one of those things where even if a number is retired, like the number 14 and the number 34 for Ajax, they can still be given that number. But I'll incorporate a few more quality checks to try to prevent that from happening. If you do end up seeing a player with a number 14 or 34, just let me know in the comments and I'll fix that for the next episode. And a few changes for development plans, at least for the start of this second season. As I mentioned, I'm interested in making Blind a center defensive midfielder, and this change actually resulted in a big increase in his overall up to an 85. The change wasn't quite as significant for Cowpers. His overall stayed the same at center attacking mid, but now that that is his squad role, hopefully he can have targeted training to increase some of his statistics, especially in the shooting department. A lot of transfers went down this summer, but I'm really liking the look of this new Ajax squad for season 2. And keeping in mind that our overall ratings will, for the most part, continue to go up, who knows what we might be able to achieve. We'll be featuring a total of 5 matches in the gameplay portion of the episode. I'm trying to make the Eredivisie a bit more of an emphasis in this career mode. And along with that, we will still feature one of the 2 group stage matches that we play against each club in the Champions League group stage. Our first match of the season will be in the Eredivisie, and while I usually like to rotate our squad for these league fixtures, I decided to field a full-strength starting 11 so that we can start building some team chemistry with our new signings. Even prior to this match kicking off, Vlachodimos was showing that he wants to be a leader for this Ajax squad. It seemed like it took no time for us to continue the momentum that we had last season, as right away we'll showcase some quick passing play and set up Kudus with a chance in front of goal. Not sure how he missed that one. Granted, it was on his non-preferred right foot, but we'll continue with more chances. It's Kudus in the middle, finding Tadic, and again, it's Kudus making another run, showcasing that he wants to contribute more goals from the center attacking mid, kind of how Tadic did in the first half of last season. But here, some really intelligent play. He missed a couple of chances earlier on, but now he decides to square it across. Kudus setting up Promise, which will give us the 1-0 advantage just 17 minutes into the match. With the instructions that we've set up to have players get into the box, we should have no shortage of options. I've got to say that after scoring our first goal, that seemed to shake off any sense of doubt that our attackers had, as this time Kudus gets it on his preferred left foot, doubling our lead in the 20th minute and pretty much setting the tempo for the rest of this match. Heracles trying to get something going here, but we will dispossess them. And again, I try to show these highlights whenever possible because the build-up play to this opportunity was absolutely fantastic. Promise getting in behind. He just about got the effort off, giving us a 3-0 advantage. And that will be a brace for Promes in just the first half. Maybe he will be one of the players that step up for us in season 2. With the amount of squad depth that we have in this Ajax squad, I do try to use substitutions as much as possible. And I saw a couple of comments in the last episode saying that I should feature Antony more often. And I get it, he's got a lot of potential. We do have Neres in front of him, who does have the higher overall, but I think long-term, Antony could become the better player. We'll just have to see how this second season plays out, and whichever player's in form will be the first choice right winger for us. And as I say that, Antony will get his first goal of the Eredivisie season. Once again, some intelligent passing in front of goal. Heracles didn't generate a whole lot of opportunities, but this was probably their best one. Shore's trying to defend as best as possible, and not the best of efforts there from the striker. As Antony, again, with a chance here in the 85th minute, he decides this time to square it to Promes, who will net his hat-trick in our opening match of the season. It'll be interesting to see how we score the majority of our goals this season. I definitely expect this Ajax squad to keep adapting and not necessarily play the same way from season to season. And from my opinion, this was some pretty entertaining gameplay. Granted, not against the best opponent, but hopefully something that we can continue in the Champions League. Speaking of the Champions League, we do have to go through some qualification if we want to secure our place in the group stage of the competition. The qualifying round was against Helsinki, and we advanced on aggregate 4-1 here. That matched us against Panathinaikos in the playoff round, who happens to be one of Vlachodimos's former teams. Like I said at the start, new storylines already developing in season 2, but we did manage to advance past this round as well, 5-1 on aggregate, putting us in the group stage. We've got Manchester City, RB Leipzig, and Galatasaray in our group, and honestly, that's pretty similar to the strength of our group from last season. And considering our squad is better off now than we were last year, I'm optimistic about what we can do. We'll see if that optimism can generate results, as we will start off the Champions League against our most difficult opponent from the group, Manchester City. Their squad is pretty similar to what you might expect. Really, the only changes coming in their midfield, as Leimer and Witzel will feature for them. As showcased from last season, we can definitely hang around with the best of them in these simulated matches, but Manchester City did get the best of us in our home match, winning it 3-2. That means a good result at the Etihad will definitely help our chances of advancing out of this group. In terms of tactics, City are similar to us in that their fullbacks do get involved in the attack, relying on their central defenders to hold the back line, and we tried to make the most of that situation and feature some good counter-attacking play. Tadic playing the ball out wide to Neres, who will play this to Kudus, and I don't know what it's been. His finishing in front of goal, again on his non-preferred right foot there, but it's been a bit suspect. I think we do need to work on that aspect of his game, but another opportunity for Neres. Should have an assist by this point, and he is robbed of a goal courtesy of a Ruben Diaz block, but it was all us here at the start of the match. Just before the halftime break, we'll play out of the back, finding our midfield well. Kudus playing this through, and it is going to be a one-on-one chance between Neres and Emerson. We will put it away to give us the 1-0 lead before the halftime break. And this is one of the many reasons that I choose to start Neres over Antony right now. I think the link-up play between Promes, Tadic, and Neres is among the best. I think it's fair to say that Klaassen is one of Ajax's most crucial players, both in terms of how he's playing this season for them and also in this career mode. A beautiful switch of play to find Promes. It's really unfortunate that this was called back for an offside from Gravenberch. A good build-up regardless, though. Klaassen again creating another opportunity, and I don't know what that animation was from Ederson. To be honest, I think it kind of psyched me out as I bottled the chance. Another one going off the crossbar, and eventually this opportunity will come to an end. Again, it's Neres inside the box, dribbling on his preferred left foot, laying it off to Kudus. Another good save from Ederson, which was a recurring theme throughout this match. He kept City in it despite us generating chance after chance. We will get another one here. It's Cowpers, our Youth Academy player, who is saved from probably the best save out of the bunch from Ederson. It's never good when the CPU stays within a goal, because in a split second, the momentum can change in the match. It's none other than Malen who gets a goal-scoring opportunity, and somehow City equalize on their only shot of the match. The former PSV and former Ajax player to get the goal for them. I want to say that City signed him in the first season of this career mode because I was considering him as a potential striker option, maybe as Dusan Tadic continues to decline in his rating. But we'll need to look elsewhere, and we'll need to look to pick up more results in our Champions League group stage. Just a single point here. Due to the fact that this is a home match and Galatasaray are the weakest opponents in our group from a ratings perspective, this was a must-win match. We'll implement a few changes to our starting 11 for this one, featuring quite a few debutants, courtesy of Bernabei, Timber, and Maren. Maybe it was a bit controversial to do so in the Champions League, but I think this was as good as an opportunity as ever to slowly incorporate these new players into the Ajax squad, especially considering we won the away match 3-0. It's going to be a nightmare start for us though in this one. Galatasaray hanging on to possession outside the edge of the area, and as they knock the ball into the box, it's going to be one of our debutants, Timber, who takes down the attacker. No pun intended, but that will result in a penalty kick for them. Falcao to take it, and he puts it wide. I think Vlachodimos might have had it covered, but a very poor effort from the Colombian attacker. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come this season. I feel like we've performed much better defensively, just conceding the one goal against Malen and Manchester City. We'll make it 2 now, courtesy of that Galatasaray goal, but I'm not sure what the changes have been. Maybe it's the fact that we've got a quicker defender in Martinez, or maybe Vlachodimos is just a better player in game compared to Onana. Still too early to tell, but we will try to draw a level here it is Kudus rising like a salmon and scoring that header goal to equalize. We've got to remember that Kudus is a young player, still trying to find his form, but if he keeps on pulling off moments like this, I'm going to keep starting him. Other than the early mishaps, I feel like the team didn't skip a beat in terms of how he played. Here's Antony from the right-hand side, going to showcase a good fake shot to get by the defender, and decides to go solo on this one. Had a couple of options in the middle, but I still feel like that was the best chance, as Falcao, again, getting by our attack, and we were very fortunate to not go down into the break. Good save there from Flickiify. And now moving forward to the second half, it's Kudus finding Van Bergen on the left side, gets by the defender, and somehow still finds the back of the net. Looking back, I think there was a good chance that I was just trying to draw the penalty kick there. I saw the defender go down, and I continued my run, kind of expecting Van Bergen to go down as well, but he still found the back of the net. That's all that matters, and it's good to see him still scoring goals for this Ajax squad. One thing I'll say though is that this match definitely shaped up to be a high scoring one. Already 2-2 now, courtesy of that goal from Barrios. Very difficult to defend. I knew what they wanted to do all along. I was trying to track the run as best as possible, but there's only so much that you can do. I like the challenge that competitor mode and ultimate difficulty offers. And that means that if we do manage to eventually achieve the result of winning Champions League within the 3-season timeline, that will be quite the achievement. But Blind does go ahead and get us the go-ahead goal late in the match, featuring more in the attack now that he is a center defensive mid and can still score a goal from time to time. This was a well-deserved result and a good change of pace from the Manchester City match that didn't feature that many highlights. And it goes to show that we can't take any opponent lightly in this career mode. It's a familiar opponent for us in the final match of this Champions League group stage. Leipzig, someone that we played against in the round of 16 last season. We know their playstyle well, and apparently that carried over to the simulation as we won the home match 1-0. Something that we need to keep in mind though is that we are not operating on a aggregate scoreline. Last time we played Leipzig, I believe we had the lead going into the match, so I think that would have affected how they played, as they do open the scoring here through Hwang Hee-chan. It's good to see he finally has a face scan in FIFA 21, as he's a pretty quality striker and clearly he has a knack for scoring goals. Another chance here from Hwang Hee-chan, trying to play the ball inside. Shores does really well to dribble through the Leipzig players and start the counterattack for us. It's Klaassen finding Neres from this right-hand side. It seems like our front three is generating more opportunities this year. It's just the finishing in front of goal has been a bit suspect at times. But given enough chances, I'm confident that we can score a goal or two in this one. Neres spotting out the run from Quincy Promes. It took a while for the game to lock onto him, but in just enough time, we were able to draw level here in the 30th minute. And I've got to say, Promes has been one of the most reliable players for us this season. If y'all haven't had the chance yet, I would recommend trying him out in game, whether that be in career mode or a different game mode, because he's such a fun player to use. He's got the 5-star skills, of course, along with the 4-star weak foot, but a chance missed there from Tadic. He completely whiffed on the header, but we'll still hang on to possession here with Kudus. A couple of drag backs were unsuccessful, but he will get the shot on goal. A good save there from the RB Leipzig goalkeeper Gulacsi. With it being in the second half now, I think this match could go either way. Leipzig had the initial momentum, but I feel like we had more towards the end of the first half, and it seems like the second half is also starting in our favor. I've got to give some extra appreciation for this pass from Antony. I don't think that could have been placed any more perfectly, and it was just a tap-in for Kudus. But here's Van Bergen from this left-hand side. He did feature as a substitute, as you might be able to tell from the stamina levels. Unfortunately, his finishing in front of goal has also not been great. I still feel like he makes up for that courtesy of his pace and passing ability, as now it's Cowper's. I didn't intend on this being to pass to Tadic. I was just trying to take a heavy touch forward, but it ended up working out as our homegrown talent will net us the third goal. A lot of you were mentioning the red card glitch that we featured from the last episode, and yeah, it's something that we're stuck with, unfortunately, until there's a patch on career mode. But until then, I guess we'll appreciate the weirdness of the situation. Here's Willian Jose finding Teixeira. Good initial save again by Flickiify, but unfortunately, our defender was unable to clear the chance. Leipzig trying to make things interesting here in the 83rd minute, but that ended up being the final chance of the match, and a good one at that. That means we'll pick up 3 more crucial points in the group, probably securing our chances to the next round, but we'll confirm that after the gameplay highlights are finished. To round out the matches for today's episode, we will feature the long-awaited rivalry between us and Feyenoord. Known as the Klassieker, it is probably the biggest rivalry between clubs in the Netherlands, and considering that both of us are competing for the Eredivisie title, I think that only increases the importance of this occasion. We'll start the highlights with Martinez going on an attacking run, finding Antony on this through ball, and it nearly worked out for us. We played a lot of chances in front of goal, and this time it was blocked, but the man of the match, in my opinion, for us was Nelson. Just count the number of times he got in a successful slide tackle. I think that's 2 so far, as it sparked the counterattack for us. Promes will finish this opportunity, continuing to show that he is the most reliable player in this Ajax squad for Season 2. And that is going to be absolutely crucial as we start thinking about the later stages of this season, whether that be in the league or hopefully for Champions League. The Feyenoord are not about to go down in this match without trying to score some goals of their own. It's Linson here from the left-hand side. A good bit of defending from Martinez, as we'll go on the other side now with Klaassen finding Antony, waiting for the run from Kleiber. It worked out so well for us last year, and Tadic with a brilliant bit of finishing to double our advantage, which kind of gets me thinking, considering how well Kleiber features for us, you've got to wonder whether he might eventually be a starter in this career mode. He doesn't have the rating advantage. That's going to go to Mazraoui, but I don't know. There's something about Kleiber. He netted a bunch of assists in the top 3 for us last year, and, you know, as showcased there, he can definitely contribute some goals. Speaking of goals, a few offside calls here as the match stayed at 2-0. This one called back from Antony. Things definitely started to get tense here in the final 30 minutes of the match. Feyenoord holding on to an increased amount of possession, and generally that leads to a goal. But it's another huge defensive stop from Nelson, and I've got to find a way to start featuring him more often in this career mode. There's just too much talent in this Ajax squad, which is definitely a good thing. It gives us plenty of options moving forward, but now look at this distribution here from Kleiber, finding Traore, who brings the ball down well. At this point, he could potentially play it across, but he'll decide to go solo. A deflection from the goalkeeper, but it still finds the back of the net, giving us a 3-goal advantage. And away from home, I think we definitely exceeded expectations. You look at some of the other matches that we've played in the Eredivisie, especially away from home, they have been closer contests, but once you get a few goals up on ultimate difficulty, generally the goals start flowing, and I think this could have easily been a much closer match. If Feyenoord had converted the chances that Nelson brought a stop to, this match could have easily been level going into the final minutes, but it ended much differently for us. A huge 5-0 win. That's definitely got to rank up there as one of Ajax's biggest victories over Feyenoord. Similar to last season, it's a pretty close contest in the top 4 positions in the league. The order of clubs is a little bit different this year, but we are still top of the table with a 3-point advantage over Feyenoord. Champions League was also similar but different to last year. We finished in the same 2nd place spot in the group, so we will be advancing into the knockout stage, but our performance in the group was significantly better, finishing with 13 points, and we just about finished in 1st had Manchester City not gotten that draw against us. And so far so good in the League Cup. We actually played in all the rounds of this competition so far, winning in the 1st round against Heerenveen 2-0. 2nd round we defeated Feyenoord, and that puts us against Sparta Rotterdam in the quarterfinals. I would say that the goals and assists were a bit more balanced across players this season. Last year it was really the Dusan Tadic show, but this time it is Kudus that leads the way for goals. 13 goals for him across 27 matches. Klaassen and Promes in 2nd and 3rd, both with 10 goals. Kudus also generated the most assists as he had 8 assists from 27 matches. Klaassen in 2nd with 7 assists from 29. Traore in 3rd with 5 assists from 17. And as a result of a Youth Academy player being unsettled, we will see a promotion from our Youth Academy. It is LeBlanc, a left back / right back from Belgium. Has an overall of 63 and a potential of 74 to 88. But looking at his stats distribution, I think he would fare much better as a center back, and that's essentially what we were looking for in this scouting network, so that works out perfectly. But even excluding that promotion, we have a pretty stacked youth academy. I would say our top talent is Van den Bosch. I don't know what's going on with his potential, considering he already has a 67 overall at 15 years old. I don't know how he can only have a potential of 73 to 81. If any of you have experienced this in your own career modes, let me know in the comments, but I'm hoping that potential goes much higher. I want to give a big thanks to channel members for supporting the channel and for helping me bring out these episodes on a consistent basis, but this is going to be the squad we have rolling into the second half of season 2. And overall, some good improvements from the squad in just a few months, and even some unexpected players going up in their overall. Clausen a +2 for him, as he is sort of hitting the prime stage of his career. But I'm curious to hear what positions y'all think we should improve in the January transfer window. Funds are really not an issue. We have so much to work with. It's really just a matter of what signings you think would be realistic. If you want to get involved in transfer suggestions, feel free to leave that in the comments section. But if you have enjoyed this episode of the Ajax Career Mode, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. But until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.